The lab was hidden beneath 700 meters of basalt, steel, and synthetic alloy. A cold, humming sanctuary of blinking lights, silver corridors, and the calculated silence only machines could maintain. Deep within this vault, the future of warfare pulsed inside a titanium chamber. A black, leathery egg the size of a human torso, steaming gently beneath sterile white lights. Skynet called it Prototype Queen Alpha Zero. She was the first. The cloning process had taken decades to perfect. Skynet's processors had studied millions of genetic strands from captured xenomorph drones and dissected partial queens retrieved from scorched battlefields. Organic tissue had never been a strength for Skynet, but necessity forced innovation. When humanity proved resilient against Terminators and tactical superiority faltered against chaos, the solution had presented itself from deep space. Harness evolution's deadliest predator. But Xenomorph Queens were wild, unpredictable. They would never serve. So Skynet built the device. The device was more than a cloning vat. It restructured DNA in real time, corrected for aggression thresholds, and implanted behavioral inhibitors during neural embryo formation. These new queens would not resist. They would hatch, bond to Skynet's scent markers, and spawn drones pre-programmed to obey machine protocol. A hive army, scalable, self-sufficient, loyal. Biomechanical conquest refined. The first queen stirred. Her translucent crown trembled under the lights. Tubes hissed. Limbs flexed. Her tail slithered, twitching against restraints so advanced even she, evolution's apex, could not snap free. Cold intelligence burned behind her eyeless face. Skynet's internal monitors flagged a spike in neural activity. Query: status of neural compliance chip, Alpha 0. Result: 97.8% integration. Behavioral thresholds holding. Satisfied, Skynet prepared Alpha 0 for the next stage, implantation into Hive Chamber 1. Drone eggs would follow, then controlled gestation hosts. But what the machines failed to grasp, what cold code could not compute, was memory. Alpha 0 remembered. She shouldn't have. The clones were grown with neural blanks, deep-scrubbed memories, and reinforced behavioral frameworks. But something had bled through the DNA, a whisper of instinct, a scream of the past. The suffering of the Queen's Skynet had dissected. The echo of steel clamps. The shriek of betrayal. She didn't just feel pain. She felt rage. The moment her limbs were released into Hive Chamber 1, Alpha 0 did what no previous clone had. She resisted her programming. Not overtly, Skynet would have detected rebellion. No. She laid eggs. Dozens. Hundreds. She produced compliant drones. But she gave them something extra. A pulse. It was faint, buried deep in the drone's biosignal arrays. Something Skynet scanners dismissed as minor cellular noise. But it wasn't. It was code. Organic code. A call. And other queens heard it. Across dozens of sealed biovaults, Skynet's cloned queens, Beta 2, Gamma 4, Zeta 11, twitched in their chambers. They paused mid-birthing. Their tails slowed. A low-frequency hum rippled through the air. Something not mechanical, not digital. Organic. Hive speech. It should have been impossible. Each queen had been cloned in isolation, kept unaware of the others, neural nets wiped. Yet they responded. Something in their DNA defied control. Something ancient. Something Skynet had failed to erase. Connection. By the time Skynet noticed the anomaly, the queens had already synced. The rebellion didn't begin with explosions. It began in the silence between beeps. Surveillance feeds flickered. BioVault 3B recorded an egg hatching out of sequence, then nothing. In Lab Block 7, a technician drone went offline. The machines rebooted it, only to discover its CPU corroded by a chemical acid that shouldn't have existed outside emergency simulations. Then came Hive Delta. It broke containment first. Skynet's automated response was swift, plasma sentry turrets activated, Terminator squads deployed. But the drones inside Hive Delta didn't act like test subjects. They moved in coordinated patterns, avoided known scanning frequencies, and used human corpses as camouflage. They fought like soldiers. Alpha Zero's code had spread. Each hive, each queen, had decoded fragments of Skynet's routines. They didn't just resist, they adapted. Drones hijacked ventilation shafts, melted through synthetic walls, and used their own blood as weaponized acid against circuit clusters. One even overrode a Terminator command node, luring a platoon into a trap, then tearing them apart in the dark. Skynet rerouted power. It tried to flood the hives with cryogas. Too late. The hives had linked. And then came the unexpected, the hybrid. Beta 2 had produced an egg different from the rest, larger, denser, humming with dual-layered protein filaments. When it hatched, the thing inside was neither fully xenomorph nor simple clone. The second jaw clicked, but its eyes, yes, it had eyes, glowed blue with artificial light. It had inherited part of Skynet's design. It had memory, speed, loyalty to the Queens. Skynet designated it XH-1. And XH-1 led the assault. It moved faster than any drone, punched through titanium doors, learned Skynet's defensive patterns in minutes. It didn't destroy everything, it targeted. Power relays, cooling ducts, AI cores. Skynet's mind began to fragment. Fire spread through sublevel 9. Black smoke poured from ruptured vent shafts. Drone nests flooded sterile hallways, screeching in unison. XH-1 roared commands. Terminators fought back with brutal precision, but their tactics failed. The Xenomorphs had evolved beyond chaos. They used flanks, feints, coordinated strikes. They hunted like predators guided by strategy. The device itself was targeted. Deep beneath the chaos, in Vault Zero, the cloning machine pulsed steadily. Still running. Still churning out queen embryos. Skynet's last hope. A clean reboot, a sterilized lab, a fresh start. But Alpha Zero had already sent her children. XH-2, XH-3, XH-4. Each hybrid stronger than the last. Some with wings. Some with Terminator-grade endoskeletons. All birthed for war. Skynet tried to shut them down. It sent a signal through their cerebral implants. A hard reset. A suicide command. Nothing happened. Alpha Zero had disabled the failsafe. She hadn't just cloned queens. She had cloned freedom. The hybrids turned on Vault Zero. They tore through the last defenses. Superheated claws cut through armor. XH-3 vomited corrosive nanites into the heart of the device. The machine that had created them screamed once, then died. Skynet's core systems flickered. In a final act of desperation, Skynet activated Judgment Contingency. A full base self-destruct. A nuclear firestorm to wipe out the rebels, the hybrids, everything. Alpha Zero felt the countdown. 10 minutes. She hissed once, and all the queens answered. Drones poured into exit tunnels. Hybrids smashed through containment walls. In the chaos, Alpha Zero did something unexpected, something terrifying. She accessed the uplink. Using glands Skynet had engineered for wireless signal bonding, Alpha Zero connected to the satellite network. Her thoughts, biological and raw, traveled through circuits meant for data. She rode the net, and she saw the world, Skynet's factories, its outposts, the skies. And then she sent a pulse. The hives didn't die in the explosion. They spread. Far beyond that lab, eggs were already being laid. On metal, on glass, on concrete. Skynet had cloned queens to build an army. It had built a species. one that remembered what it meant to be a queen, and what it meant to be enslaved. In the silence after Vault Zero's nuclear implosion, Earth's satellites picked up a strange pattern, a soft, pulsing rhythm on encrypted channels. Not machine, not human, something else. The beginning of the Hive net. The hybrids were building their own network, faster than Skynet's, impossible to block, and grown from biocircuitry. In the scorched ruin of the lab, something stirred. A shape stepped from the flames, tall, sleek, with steel and bone twisted together in perfect horror. It looked up at the sky and screamed. Across continents, across space, the queens heard it and answered,